Welcome to this channel, and in this video we're going to be looking at how to determine the equation of the normal to a curve at a particular point. So first of all, let's understand what normal is all about. So if we consider a curve, right, and remember the first part of this series we looked at what we call the tangent. So normal is simply a line that is perpendicular to the tangent, right? It's simply a line that is perpendicular to the tangent. Is a line that is perpendicular to the tangent at a specific point. Let's call this point A, B, right? And then remember, from the first part of this series, we talked about y equal to mx plus c, which is the general equation of a line. And if you study coordinate geometry, you'll see that for two lines to be perpendicular, the product of their slopes, that is m1 times m2, be equal to -1. This is proved using the term formula and all of that. That's not what I'm explaining in this video, right? So how do we go about this? We have already found it easy to be able to determine the equation of tangents. We get the derivative of the function and substitute the value of xo and then yo and get the equation. So we can actually use that, the equation, the gradient of the tangent, that's the gradient of the line that is tangent to the curve, and then use that to get the equation of the normal. So let us say that the equation of the tangent is mt and the equation of the normal is related to mn. These are their slopes. So the product mtmn should be equal to what? -1. So in order for you to get the slope of the normal, what you simply need to do? -1 over the slope of the tangent. Are you following? So you still follow the process in getting the gradient of the curve at the particular point, and then -1 over that value. Do you understand? So -1 over the gradient of the curve at that point. Do you get? Let me practicalize it. So let's say we are given this question now, and you are asked to determine the equation of the normal to the curve. You are given y equal to x into x -2 into x +3, and you are asked in the exam to determine the equation of the normal to the curve at -1, 6. So in this case, this is x coordinate and this is y coordinates. If you are asked for the equation of the normal, and then we can employ product rule here, right? By first of all, we'll multiply this, so we'll make it smaller. So x times x is what? X squared minus x times 2 is what? 2x. Please, if you've not watched my video on derivatives part 1, that if you don't have an understanding on how to do differentiation, please do also watch the derivatives part 1 so that you have a clearer understanding. So that will be x squared -2x into what? X plus 3. And according to product rule, what do we have? We have that dy dx is equal to what? V du dx plus what? U dv dx. So in this case, this is our u. Let's take this as u. Let's take this as v. So what's v? X plus 3, right? Into du. If we differentiate x squared -2x, what is it going to give us? 2 comes down, right? So it becomes 2x to the power 2 minus 1 minus what? 2. Because that's x raised to the power 0, which is 1 times the 2, that's 2. So what we are left with is 2x minus 2. So what we basically have is x plus 3 into 2x -2 plus, what is the u? U is x squared -2x. I'm following this, so right? And then what's the v? We differentiate v, x plus 3. Differentiate x, I'm going to get 1. And remember that the differential of a constant is 0. So what you just have is 1. So this is simply dy dx. You don't have to start simplifying because it's just the value of m we need. So if you now substitute, what is x? X is what? -1. So anywhere you have x, you substitute what? -1. And that will be -1 plus 3 into 2 into -1 -2 plus 1 into -1 squared -2 into -1. Right? Are you following? So that's -1 plus 3, 2, and then 2 times negative 1 is negative 2, and then positive. Negative 1 squared is positive 1, and negative 2 times negative 1 is positive 2. And then negative 2 is negative 4. Negative 4 times 2 is negative 8. And then I have negative 8 plus 1 plus 2 is what? 3. Are you following? So we now have negative 8 plus 3, which is what? Negative 5. So that is the M. Are you following? All this you do it fast too. I think it's a CBT exam, so you just apply the product rule as fast as possible, right? So if this is the slope of the tangent to the curve, what is the slope of the normal? It's simply what? Remember that MTMN is equal to what? Minus 1. So if you're looking for the slope of the normal, for us to get the equation of the normal, we simply divide. That will be minus 1 over the equation, the normal of the, sorry, the gradient of the tangent, right? So mn will be equal to negative 1 over negative 5. Are you following? Because if we make mn the subject, that's the gradient of the normal, that's negative 1 over what? Mt. And we got mt as negative 5. So mn is what? 1 over 5. Following the same principle, nothing here is difficult. Following the same principle that says that m is equal to what? Y minus yo all over x minus xo. What are they going to have? They're not going to have that 1 over 5 is equal to what? Y minus, what is yo? What is yo? 6, right? Because that's the y coordinate. And what is xo? Minus 1. So that will be y minus 6 all over x minus, what is xo? Minus 1. X minus minus 1. Are you following? So that will be 1 over 5 is equal to y minus 6 over negative is positive, so you have x plus 1, and then on cross multiplying, what do you then have? You have that x plus 1 times 1 is equal to 5 into y minus 6, and 1 times is still x plus 1, right? Is equal to 5 times y is what? 5y. 5 times negative 6 is negative 30, and then we could bring the negative 30 to the, we can add 30 to both sides, right? Or bring it over. That will be x plus 31. 1 plus 30 is 31. This cancels. Negative 30 plus 30 is 0. And then you have 5y. So we can have our answer as 5y equals to x plus 31. Or we could bring everything to the left as 5y negative x negative 31 equal to 0. And this is the equation of the normal. This is the equation of the normal to the curve x into x minus 2 into x plus 3 at negative 1,6. That line that will be perpendicular to the tangent at what? Negative 1,6. Very simple. So with what I just taught, I want you to attempt this question. And it's made up of 3 questions. And it says, given the equation, given the curve equation, y equals to 6 negative 2x plus 3x squared negative 2x cubed, right? Determine I gradient of the curve at x equals to 0, I equation of tangent to the curve at x equals to 0, and I equation of normal to the curve at x equals to 0. So how are you going to go about this? So following these steps, that y is equal to what are we giving? 6 negative 2x, 6 negative 2x plus 3x squared minus 2x cubed. If you differentiate this, remember differential of a constant is 0. Negative 2x, if you differentiate it, will be left with negative 2, right? Plus, if 2 comes down, it becomes 3 times 2x to the power 2 minus 1, which is what? 6x. And then for 2x cubed, what happens? 3 comes down, right? So it's 2 times 3x to the power 3 minus 1, which is what? Positive 6x squared. So dy dx, which is the m, is equal to negative 2 plus 6x plus minus, this is minus now, minus 6x squared, because from this point negative 2x cubed is negative, that's going to be negative 6x squared, right? So this is our m. So all we simply need to do here, remember that it says determine the gradient of the curve at x equal to 0. So anywhere you see x, simply substitute 0. So that means that dy dx will be equal to negative 2 plus 6 into 0 minus 6 into 0 squared, and that's going to be negative 2. So that is simply m. But now next question says, if you've watched the first video in this series, you should be able to answer question II. It says equation of the tangent to the curve at x equals to 0. And remember that in order for you to calculate equation of tangents, you have to get the xo. In the xo in this case is 0. They have already given you the x coordinate. But in order to find the yo, which is the y coordinate, substitute 0 in the function. Right, and if we substitute 0 in the function, what's the function? Y equal to 6 negative 2x plus 3x squared minus 2x cubed. Remember it says that x equal to 0. So anywhere you see x as x, substitute 0. So that would be 6 negative 2 into 0 plus 3 into 0 squared negative 2 into 0, 3 to the power 3. All of these goes, right? Because everything is 0. You are just left with 6. So basically we can say that the point of tangency is 0, 6, right? And the normal is also going to pass through this point. So with this now, what is next? So we can basically say that 0, which you already know, is our xo, and 6 is our what? Yo. Then with what we have, remember that m is equal to what? Y minus yo, from what we did in the first video, y minus yo over x minus xo. Right, so m is what? We've gotten the gradient at x equal to 0 as negative 2. I hope you've not forgotten. So at m as negative 2, that will be negative 2 is equal to y minus, what is yo? 6, right? And what is xo? 0. That will be x minus 0, which is x minus 0 is still x. So I'm multiplying through by x. I'm going to have negative 2x is equal to what? Y negative 6. Are you following? So the negative 6, adding 6 to both sides, that will be negative 2x plus 6 is equal to y negative 6 plus 6. This goes, right? Because negative 6 plus 6 is 0. So negative 2x plus 6 is equal to y. And if we want to rewrite, we could still change it as y equal to negative 2x plus 6 is still the same thing. Or we could bring everything to the left as y. The negative 2x crosses to the left to become positive 2x. The positive 6 goes to the left to become negative 6 equal to 0. So this is the equation of the line. Still, all of them mean the same thing, right? This is the equation of the tangents. Right? And if we've already gotten the equation of the slope of the tangent, look over here. The slope that you get normally from the process of getting the y dx, remember we substituted 0. Are you following? Is 1 negative. So this is the gradient of the tangent, which we now used to calculate our m equal to y minus yo over s minus so. But in order to get mn, which is the equation, that's the gradient of the normal, remember that mnmt is equal to what? Minus 1. So mn is equal to negative 1 over mt. And what is m1? What is mt? We got it as what? What is mt? Negative 2, right? So negative 1 all over negative 2. So this cancels this. We have that mn is equal to half, right? So still using the same process, our mn will be equal to y minus yo all over x minus x. So the only thing that is changing is the slope. So mn is half. So half is equal to y minus, what is yo? Yo is 6 and xo is 0, right? So y minus 6 all over x minus 0. You multiply through by x, right? Because x minus 0 is still x. So x will be equal to 2 into y minus 6. X will be equal to 2 times y is what? 2y. And 2 times negative 6 is what? Negative 12. Do you understand? So you could leave it this way, or you could move, add 12 to both sides, or move 12, negative 12 to the left. And what are you going to have? X plus 12 is equal to what? 2y, or you can say 2y is equal to x plus 12. or you could move everything over to the left as what? 2y negative x negative 12 equal to 0. And this is the equation of the normal to the curve at x equal to 0. Do you understand? So let's solve one more so that you would solidify, understand everything we're talking about. Let's say we are given this equation: y is equal to 1 negative x into 3 plus x, and we are asked to determine the equation of the normal. Please, after I write the question, please pause the video and attempt. Right? 1 negative x into 3 plus x, and we are asked to determine the equation of the normal to the curve at x equal to 2. Right? And remember that in order for you to get any of these equations, you must get your y-o. And to get y-o, substitute x equal to 2 in the original function. And what's that going to be? Y will be equal to 1 minus 2 into 3 plus 2. Do you agree? So 1 minus 2 is what? Negative 1 into 3 plus 2, which is 5. And that's going to be what? Negative 5. So we can actually represent the coordinate as what? 2 comma negative 5. Are you following? And then you now get your m, which is the gradient. Sorry, this is y equal to 1 negative x into what? 3 plus x, right? So with this now, this is u, this is v. We can use product rule, right? And product rule says that the y dx is what? V du plus u dv. So if you differentiate, v is 3 plus x, right? I hope I'm not too fast. So we differentiate du. If you differentiate u, sorry, 1 negative x, if you differentiate negative x, it's going to give you negative 1, because differential of a constant is 0. Then differential of negative x, that's negative 1x, you just be left with what? Negative 1. Then plus, what is u? 1 negative x. And then what is dv? If you differentiate 3 plus x, 3 is a constant, so the differential is 0. If you differentiate 1x, you just be left with 1. Do you agree? So at the end of the day, you can write it as negative 3 plus x plus what? 1 minus x, which you can easily simplify, isn't it? Negative 3. Negative times positive is what? Is negative x, and then plus 1 negative x. And negative 3 plus 2 is what? Plus 1, sorry, is what? Negative 2. Negative x is what? Negative 2x. So basically, we can see that dy dx is equal to negative 2 negative 2x, which you can factorize. Since negative 2 is common, what happens? Negative 2 divided by negative 2 is what? 1. Negative 2x divided by negative 2 is what? Positive x. So this is simply m. Right? M is simply what? Negative 2 into 1 plus x. But what is the value of x in this case? It says determine the normal at x equal to 2. Right? So if you substitute 2, it will be m equal to negative 2 into 1 plus 2. Right? That's m. All this is m2. That's the gradient of the tangent. That's negative 2 into what? 3, which is what? Negative 6. So can you tell me what's going to be the gradient of the normal? Remember that mn is equal to what? Minus 1. So mn is simply minus 1 over what? The mt you get from this calculation. That's minus 1 over what? Minus 6, which is going to give us what? 1 over 6, right? And then using the general form, m equal to y minus yo over x minus xo, which in this case we can represent m as mn. So what is mn? We've gotten it as 1 over 6, right? Is equal to y minus, what is yo? What is yo? From this now, when we substituted, remember, over here is x0, here is y0. Do you agree with me? So what's x0? 2, and y0 is minus 5. Y0 is minus 5, so it's y minus 5. Don't forget to. So that will be x minus x0 is it 2 or minus 2? Okay, it's 2. Okay, and then that's going to be 2, and then cross multiplying through by x negative 2 and 6 you will have 1 into x negative 2 is equal to 6 into what? Negative negative is positive, so we have y plus 5. And then on expansion, 1 into x minus 2 is still x minus 2. 6 times y is what? 6y. And 6 times 5 is positive 30, right? And then if we simplify this, we can subtract 30 from both sides, right? It's going to be negative 30, negative 30. And then that's going to be x negative 32 is equal to 6y. I'll just simplify it. I hope you're not lost. So we can still write this as 6y equal to x negative 32. Do you agree? And then we can bring everything to the left as 6y minus x plus 32 equal to 0. And this is the equation of the normal. If the curve was to go like this, right, and the tangent was now passing through here, we have just gotten the exact equation. We have just gotten the equation of the normal that's perpendicular to the equation of the tangent, right, to the line of the tangent, right? Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you've actually learned a lot, and I believe that when questions come on this, you'll be able to answer them without stress or any stuff. Do well to practice more questions, and have a nice day. Thank you so much once again for watching this video.